Hi everyone, my name is Chantal and today we will have a look at 5 reasons why services marketing is different from products marketing. Let's go! There are 5 distinguishing characteristics that differentiate services marketing from product marketing. These are intangibility, lack of ownership, inseparability, heterogeneity, and perishability. Physical products can be tasted, felt, smelled, stored, and seen prior to purchasing, and this is not the same for services. For example, if you are craving a Cadbury chocolate, you can smell it, feel it, taste it, or imagine how it tasted in the past before you purchase it. But if you are acquiring the services of a lawyer or an architect, you cannot experience that beforehand. You can only form an opinion after you have paid for and used this service. So we can look at the intangibility aspects in terms of the more tangible a product is, for example, food or grocery or retailing, to less tangible products, for example, airlines, bus services, transportation, architecture, and so forth. What are the marketing implications for a service organization or an organization with a services aspect? So there are 5 main things to consider. It is very difficult to patent services. Products are very easy to patent because they are ingredients, methods to manufacture, and so on. But since a lot of service organizations offer a similar service, for example, transportation, one owner cannot patent that specific service. It is also very difficult to demonstrate. If someone is acquiring for example, the service of architecture, it's very difficult to demonstrate what that process will be. It's the same for transportation. We can imagine, but we are not really sure. Then also pricing is more complicated. A lot of service organizations will offer a similar service, for example, transportation in terms of bus fare. There are several fixed cost aspects and so on, overheads and so on to consider, but it is very difficult to price more advanced services, for example, team building, adventures, and so on. Branding is also challenging because it is not as fixed and linked to a product that people can think of tangibly, so it's very difficult to brand in that aspect. And then the last one, services are perceived as riskier to purchase because people cannot imagine what it will be like unless they purchase and use the service. And a reason or a way to overcome this is that the brand or the service organization need to overcome it by creating a strong image and brand recognition. You need to be the industry leader in terms of the service that you offer, and this can reduce the level of risk. So if you are known to be a reputable seller or a reputable delivery company, then people have less risk perceived towards your company. And it's also very important to create content or user referrals or previous reviews or testimonials of prior clients so that people have an idea of the type of company that you are, and then they can learn to trust you. Because as modern consumers, we rely on reviews, and when two service companies are closely located to one another, customers will rely on the reviews and make a decision based on that. The second one is inseparability. In essence, it's the interconnectivity between the service provider delivering or manufacturing the service, the customer involved in receiving or consuming the service, as well as the other customers that simultaneously experience the service. So in essence, there's an interaction between the business, the service organization, or the organization with a service aspect, and then the customer's presence or the involvement in that process. What is important for the business is to have a tangible cue that customers can relate to so that they can recognize your service organization above others. This is how they evaluate your service. If you are a courier company, they ordered another product from another company online, but you are the elected courier company, which can also be used by the customer in future. There needs to be a tangible cue. For example, the delivery vehicle needs to be branded, the delivery person needs to be presentable, and they need to act in a way that people can evaluate the service, for example. Then they know this is a reputable company. There are several differences in terms of inseparability. There are instances where the customer and the organization needs to be present for the service to take place. For example, if you go for a massage or if you go for a haircut, these things can't happen remotely. Both need to be present for the service to occur. Partially present, an example of this is if a customer takes their car to be serviced, they drop it off at the service center and then pick it up later once the service center lets them know that the car is being serviced. So they only have to be there for a short bit of the service experience. And then remotely present. You as a person somewhere in the world will watch this video, getting education, entertainment, and you don't have to be present when this is being created. You just watch it afterwards and you are remotely present. This is the same for live lessons. And with this recent COVID period and online lessons and Zoom and MS Teams and so forth being very vital, you have to be remotely present to receive your education. Now, there's also a variable to consider is the other customers. If you visit a theme park, you pay your ticket for entrance and experiencing, for example, rides in the theme park or using the swimming pools and so forth. Other customers will impact the paying customers' experience. So if they have to stand in queues and the people are acting inappropriately or become drunken, then that will influence the experience. And it is the service organization's responsibility to mitigate these circumstances and ensure that everyone behaves appropriately. The heterogeneity, this refers to the variations in consistency that may occur between different service transactions. This is not the different service options that you have available. For example, a valet. This is not a basic to advanced valet. It is the customer's experience in terms of the first time the valet was perfect and the next time they returned for a valet, it was done half-heartedly. So there's a variation in consistency. And this basically happens due to the human involvement in service delivery. And that is why standardization is very important and quality control is difficult to achieve, but it in certain circumstances can be achieved. For example, a quality inspection after conducting the valet. Franchises have a unique way of mitigating these circumstances because they have an ability to achieve consistency through, for example, training the employees so that they perform the same. Telecommunication, for example, have a scripted approach, recipes, manuals, control processes, and so on. So an example of this is McDonald's. The link is in the description below. So they have a way of using Hamburger University to train the employees so that they have consistent service delivery. Perishability is also an important aspect to consider. So services cannot be stored the same as products. You can go to the store and buy a TV, a soundbar, groceries, and store it to use later. But services, it's not the same. If you take the airplane example, as a customer, you pay for your ticket and you get transported via the plane to another country or location in your existing country. And once you step off the plane, the service is complete. It's done. Another important thing to consider in terms of perishability is the variations in supply and demand. As a service organization, for example, managing transportation, a bus, an airplane, doesn't matter, you need to consider that at a specific time you will transport customers. And if you cannot fill all of the seats, there is a problem with the lack of demand, and demand cannot be stored. The same is true for the opposite. If you have limited space and too much demand, there's an issue in terms of perishability. You lose the customers that cannot board the plane. So to overcome this problem of, for example, a shortage in demand, the organization needs to develop strategies to mitigate these situations. And a lot of times in the airline industry, closer to the flight, they reduce the prices to get the plane filled up. Lack of ownership is also an important thing, and this is mostly from the customer's point of view. As a customer, you purchase the plane ticket, but you don't own the seat, you don't own the plane, you don't own the airline. You basically just pay for transportation, and once it's done, it's done. So unlike buying a tangible product, which you are then the rightful owner of, services cannot be owned. This is the same as the airplane, as I just mentioned. You cannot own the airplane or the seat. The same is true for a rental company. The example here is Europcar, but also any rental company like AFIS or anything in your country. If you are the customer and you want to rent a vehicle for 4 days, you pay for the rental and you're holding deposit, and then you use the car for the 4 days and then you return it. It remains the property of Europcar. You as a customer do not own it. You just use the service of renting the car and transportation. Those are the 5 differentiating characteristics that distinguish services marketing from product marketing. I hope you could take something from this video. Thank you for watching.